In this video, I'll be discussing Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Let's discuss some levels to be aware of for the trading week ahead. And we'll discuss some previous price action and how we can hopefully use that to our advantage for this week's potential setups. With Bitcoin, there's three main levels: 119.5K, 117.4K, and 115.2K. Now, these are not new levels. I've discussed these levels in the recent video, but the interactions with the levels are going to be extremely important for this incoming trading week. Now, really, for any strong bullish arguments to really get some people back on the bull side, I'd say we want to see a reclaim of 119.5K. For me, if I was a little bit apprehensive on pulling the trigger on some lower prices, or maybe even from here, I would just wait for that reclaim of 119.5. The invalidation would be a break back below the level, and the take profit one would be somewhere at the 123-ish level right above here. So the previous highs that were swept, that is a classic take profit point, one that I would always look to take profit at. So that's scenario one, and just a very chill, hands-off approach to a potential trade setup. Next, we have potential trades coming from the equilibrium. Equilibrium is just 50% of the trading range. I have my range high here, my range low here, and my equilibrium is just split directly in the middle of these two levels. It acts as a support and resistance level and an entry trigger for both long and short setups. So the issue we're facing here is we had the large liquidation day late last week. It takes some time for liquidity to enter back into the books, so I'm not really too worried about the price action so far. Really though, what I'd like to see early in the week is a break out of some consolidation period. Like here, earlier there was an attempt to break from this consolidation period, which failed, but it is the weekend, so I'm not trying to look into it too much for this specific interaction. But in general, I'd like to see a consolidation period break out. Now, if something like this were to happen where we sweep the weekend lows here, reclaim the range equilibrium, that's a long trigger that I would most likely take. So something like this, invalidation below the low before the reclaim, take profit one either at the range high depending on the entry trigger, depending on the invalidation point, or I can go for take profit one just above the range high a little bit. So that would be really targeting a sweep of the range high. So something similar to this interaction, these interactions in here as well. I wouldn't want to be too greedy on this take profit, maybe even something like this. So that's if the weekend lows are swept, and then of course take profit two is going to be the high before the sweep level here. So that's 123.089. All right, and then the final situation that I'm looking for is if price does roll over early into the week, maybe we go for a sweep and go all the way down to the range lows at 115.2K. Hopefully we have some bigger players back into the books to provide some more liquidity for us and things are back to normal. And finally, I just want to point out the daily chart with nothing on it. The daily chart, we are within the previous daily consolidation period, right? So this is really the area that we would like to see hold on Bitcoin. We are retesting the daily breakout point here at 117.6. This is the entire daily consolidation period here. We've deviated to the downside. We've deviated the upside. So now is the time to finally pick an actual direction and continue going higher or lower from here. I'm personally betting on higher from here despite the ugly daily candles because of the higher time frame confluence we have. All right, let's move on to Ethereum now. The main higher time frame level I'm watching on Ethereum is going to be 4617, and that's just a weekly level. We could see price climbing on the weekly, stalling at the weekly, attempting to wick above the level, and then this is the origin of a very significant leg lower. So from my point of view and the way I do technical analysis, this is going to be a very key level. We can already see evidence of that with the recent price action on Ethereum. Price did not spend much time above this level, but when it did, we are wicking into the level and using it as support before pushing higher. Again, using the level as support, it obviously failed, but still, it's going to be a key level in my opinion, and one that I want to continue watching. And really my main level of interest for a potential long setup on Ethereum is going to come from this area here, this H4 consolidation period, which is between 43.30 and 41.80. I don't really have to go too much into detail about this H4 consolidation setup. I have an entire video dedicated to the setup, but if and when we do like a little bit lower on Ethereum, let's say we engulf, let's say we sweep the weekend lows and it hits the top of the green H4 consolidation period, I'll be looking for a long setup with an invalidation at the consolidation period lows, or if we get a deep wick into green, I'll use the low of that wick as my invalidation point, and my take profit one will be at the weekly level that I just discussed. But if that doesn't happen, unfortunately, I'm a little bit trapped in terms of looking for a fresh position. I can't have a fresh position because I'm below a daily level and just slightly above an H4 consolidation period. So there's really no good entry trigger for me right now, but potentially I can have an entry trigger on the H1, depending on what happens. But unfortunately, a fresh position from here would be diddling in the middle, and that's not something I'd like to do at this time. And finally, for Solana, I'm already in a long position from the haven from about 176, 177-ish. I'm pretty comfortable in that position. I'm not going to be adjusting anything just yet, but the main levels of interest for Solana to the upside is going to be 193.3. That's an H4 breakdown point. So just how I use breakout points, I use breakdown points the same exact way. I have video content on that as well. So the first step for Solana is going to be reclaiming 193.3, the H4 breakdown point. If that fails, the next area of interest I'd like to see held is going to be the H4 breakout point at 185. So again, unfortunately, it's one of those situations where price is below a very key level and not very far away from a very key level and way too far away from a key level of support. So it would be very silly for me to try and take a position here because my invalidation would be, I don't know, something like this, and my take profit one would be the key H4 breakdown point. But what I could do is wait potentially for a retest of 185, look to enter into a position or compound my existing long position. My invalidation point is going to be the low before the reclaim of the level. My take profit one is going to be the H4 breakdown point. My take profit two will be, I don't know, somewhere in here, and then take profit three will be somewhere higher, of course. So that's generally how I map out potential trades. I have my key levels. I wait for interactions with the level, and I do not diddle in the middle. I hope you enjoyed this video. Good luck trading this week. I'll have a midweek update. If you have any further questions, comments, anything like that, please feel free to ask. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.